What caught my attention here wasn't hype but positioning. Instead of being framed as an entertainment AI, the way you run and scale a business is by ensuring that every element of the business is efficient, and you probably save money in the process as well. See, most people think creating video content is expensive because for the longest time it certainly was. Cameras, editing, locations, actors, you name it, revisions. It was truly expensive. Every piece of visual content required time, coordination, and a budget. But recently I started wondering, what if the bottleneck isn't creativity anymore? What if it's just the tools we're used to using? Quick disclaimer as always before we go any further. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered business, personal advice, or financial advice. I've also teamed up with Pippit for this video since it's generally something I'm very curious about, and I'm especially curious about the Seedance 2.0 model. I wanted to test it out in practice. Now let's talk about the experiment, because you know me as always, I like to put things into practice. That's just the way my brain works as always. You know, theory is good, but until you actually put it to work, in my opinion, it doesn't really exist. So I think if you run any kind of business online, you already know visual content isn't optional anymore. You need to have it. Ads require it. Landing pages require it. Social media depends on it when you truly think about it. But traditional production has friction, planning shoots, editing cycles, asset revisions, cost constraints, which means testing ideas becomes slow, inefficient, and expensive a lot of times. And slow testing kills momentum when you truly think about it. So my question became simple. Can AI video generation realistically support business content creation, not theory, actual usable assets? So this is where I became really interested in the Seedance 2.0. So as we're speaking, I have a bit of a surprise for you here, and I'm going to play it right now. So just give me about 34 to 36 seconds while I demonstrate this. Hit play. So I think that was pretty incredible. What caught my attention here wasn't hype but positioning. Instead of being framed as an entertainment AI, Seedance is designed more around structured video generation workflows, when you truly think about it once again. So I decided, of course, based on this video, based on what I know as well, to test it across practical business scenarios, because we want to see how we can utilize this, of course, to improve our business so that we can make more money, increase our profit margin, because that is what my business is truly about. And I wouldn't want to run business any other way. But of course, remember, this obviously doesn't guarantee success across your business. Your business might be different from my business, of course. So the first test is simple: advertising style visual, because ads live or die based on attention capture. I wanted to see how quickly concepts translate into visuals, of course, how flexible outputs feel, where the asset look usable. And as you can see now, I'm showing a few examples just to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about here. So the interesting part here wasn't perfection, it was iteration speed. Ideas could move from abstract visual formats without traditional production cycles. That changes creative experimentation dynamics significantly in my experience. And here's why: because you can reduce your effort while increasing your efficiency. And that means that you save time and you probably save money in the process as well, without compromising the output. So of course, knowing me and having tuned into this channel, you know I'm very big on those things, because the way you run and scale a business is by ensuring that every element of the business is efficient, and this is certainly something I think can actually help with that. Next is brand style creatives. Business constantly need visual storytelling, product visuals, promotional material. What stood out here was flexibility. Instead of scheduling shoots or sourcing footage, which is very time consuming once again. I know I've said time consuming so many times in this video, but that's the honest truth. A lot of these things that we used to do before we got tools like Pippit, Seedance 2.0 were time consuming. That's just the honest truth. So here you're essentially manipulating visual direction through inputs, which compresses asset creations, timelines, of course, as well, not replacing creativity, but moving visualization forward a lot quicker. The third test involves us testing content support scenarios for creators and founders. Content production often involves B-roll visuals, supporting visuals, scene fillers. Seedance becomes interesting here because it can generate visual elements that traditionally require stock libraries or filming, which potentially reduces dependency on fragmented sources. And the thing about using footage that is essentially not yours is that you don't know whether they need license, you don't know whether you are actually allowed to use them. So there's so many issues surrounding that, but this obviously bypasses that completely. So here's the most fascinating test for me, and that was ideation support. Instead of asking what should this look like, you can explore how might this be presented visually, which is a very important question to ask. That shifts the creative process from guessing, experimenting, which is extremely aligned with how modern businesses should operate. Rapid hypothesis testing, which is something I of course truly love. So here's the key takeaway from my perspective. Pippit isn't just about making videos, it's about making them look real and production ready. What really stands out is the level of realism, from natural characters' movement to consistent details across scenes. The motion quality feels smooth, intentional, not stiff or artificial. And with the camera control, you can create dynamic shoots that actually feel cinematic, not just static outputs. So instead of spending hours trying to fix unnatural results, you're getting high quality visuals straight from the jump. That's what makes it powerful, not just faster workflows, but outputs that are actually usable for real content marketing and storytelling, more importantly. So here's an important nuance. AI video generation isn't a universal replacement for everything. You have to remember this, but it's extremely compelling for concept testing, marketing assets, rapid experimentation, content augmentation, especially where speed and flexibility matter more than cinematic perfection. Tools should be evaluated based on workflow impact, not novelty. So here's what I'm going to do for you before we round up this video. If you're curious to explore Pippit with Dramina, Seedance 2.0 yourself, you can find the link in the top part of my description as always. Regardless of tools, here's the principle that matters. The faster ideas become testable assets, the faster learning compounds, and learning velocity drives progress. You have to remember that, and that's the last thing I want you to remember before I round up this video. But with that said, it's time for me to round up this video. I do hope you found this video helpful and useful. If you did, you know exactly what you need to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and more importantly, tap the notification bell. I'll see you on the next one, where we're of course going to be talking about more business, finance, and entrepreneurship.